So yesterday I told you that Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz was in New York City for the Astros-Yankees game, and he was brutally booed and heckled at Yankee Stadium. More substantively, yesterday he appeared on the New York City-based talk show The View, and it was completely off the rails, one of the most bad faith interview performances I've seen in a very long time. And I want to go over some of this with you because it is so emblematic of how these folks operate in a fact-free and also completely amoral framework. The View co-host Ana Navarro, a lifelong Republican but an anti-Trump Republican, she confronts Cruz and says, how did you go from being against Trump and him calling your wife ugly to suddenly you support the guy? Take a look at this.
Frankly, don't know how you get over your wife being called ugly. I don't know how you get over those kind of calumnies against your father. But you obviously have gotten over it. Today you sing a very different tune. So tell us, were you lying then or are you lying now?
Yeah, that's a loaded question there. Look,
I think a lot of people have the same question. It's a very different Ted Cruz that we're seeing. We are. I mean, would you not agree that that's very different Ted Cruz than today's Ted Cruz?
What I would say is this. In 2016, we had a primary where Donald Trump and I beat the living crap out of each other. I'll tell you, Heidi laughed when he said that. My father laughed. By the way, my dad didn't just kill Kennedy. He's got Jimmy Hoffa.
Ted, it was so funny when Donald Trump called me ugly. It's so funny. It's like watching, a rom-com.
Buried in the backyard. It was idiotic. And we went after each other, and at the end of the day, he won. And I had a decision to make in November of 2016.
Yes. Am I going to stand on principles and maybe be on the outs with the president, or do I want to start sucking up to keep access to power?
He'd been elected president. I got a responsibility to represent 30 million Texans. I could have decided my feelings are hurt. I'm going to take the ball and go home and not do my job. But if I was prepared to do that, I better be prepared to resign from my job because I have a responsibility. So what I did is I went and said, listen, we have an opportunity to make a difference for this country, and I want to roll up my sleeves and lead the fight to actually deliver on promises. We were talking a minute ago about the incredible booming economy. We saw 7 million people get off of food stamps.
7 million people and food stamps does not actually address how and why Ted Cruz got in line with Trump. And remember that if everybody laughed about Trump calling Heidi Cruz ugly back in 2016, why was it that in the immediate aftermath, Ted Cruz referred to Trump as a sniveling coward because of those comments and said, leave Heidi the hell alone? If everybody laughed and had a good time after that, why did he do it? Ana Navarro also confronts Ted Cruz with some of the specific things he said about Trump.
This is what you said about him back in 2016 during the campaign. Let's take a look.
I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar.
True.
He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. The man is utterly amoral. Morality does not exist for him.
True.
So I have to ask you, because, I'm married to a Cuban man. I frankly don't know how you get over your wife being called ugly. I don't know how you get over those kind of calumnies.
Okay, so then they go into the part that we already saw. Another interesting moment during this was that Ted Cruz just could not be in New York City and not get heckled. Climate activists interrupted the interview, and then Whoopi Goldberg says, let us do our job, and it just gets completely crazy.
It's very simple. If you look at inflation, the Nobel laureate economist, Milton Friedman, explained in the United States, inflation has one cause and one cause only. Inflation in the United States has one cause and one cause only, and that is when the federal government spends too much money.
Okay.
We have seen trillions and trillions of dollars spent by Joe Biden and the Democrats. Just last year, the federal government took in $4 trillion in tax revenue. It's the most money in history we've ever taken in. The problem is we spent nearly $7 trillion, and that's what
we do cover climate here, guys. We do cover climate.
Ladies, excuse us. Let us do our job. Let us do our job. We hear what you have to say, but you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta let us do our job.
All right, so then they start to get kicked out, but somehow then they get more energy, and then they're back. And then they end up having to mute everything and cut to commercial.
The biggest reason people at home are saying, okay, is my life better today than it was 2 years ago? And I think for the vast majority of Americans, the answer is no.
All right, so total chaos on The View. ABC spokesperson put out a statement saying that 3 people in the audience interrupted The View and they were escorted out. These interviews are not going particularly well for Ted Cruz, but I have to tell you, if you see this through the eyes of right-wingers, and we're going to see things through the eyes of right-wingers in a moment, you see a guy whose speech they are trying to suppress and that it is unhinged people doing it. So, you and I know that this guy is the lowest of the low, truly. But understand that the right-wingers see this and they go, look at those liberals that don't want to let him speak and suppressing speech. And next, we are going to look exactly at what is going on in the minds of some of these people.